Alice came with an inbuilt nudge and wink as standard features. Like she said, "If we weren't best friends until the day we die, then you'd probably hate my guts, Franny." But I couldn't remember a time when Alice and I weren't best friends. We'd met at a mother and baby group. There's photographic evidence of us in nappies and a gummy, smiley embrace, and barely a thing had happened to me. From losing my first tooth right through to almost getting my first kiss, let's not even go there, that Alice hadn't been witness to. Right now, Alice was all Joey had eyes for as he presented her with the traffic cone. "Trainer on top of the bus shelter by the roundabout," he announced. Losing a trainer lacked imagination and meant a tricky walk home, but Joey was fit in a dull Merrycliffe way, which was about 10 years behind the way really fit boys on style blogs looked, so Alice was eyeing him speculatively. "Okay then," she said without much enthusiasm. "To the victor, the spoils." Off she went with Joey, swinging her hips in that artful sway she'd worked hard on ever since she got hips 3 years ago. It was another 5 minutes before Chris came into sight, minus a traffic cone, but carrying one of those little lights that hang on the side of skips so people don't go crashing into them in the dark. "Where's Alice?" he asked in dismay. "I just left my second-best hoodie on top of the bus shelter." "Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but Joey beat you to it." Chris looked at his little skip light and sighed. Then he came and sat next to me on the wall. My buttocks were pretty much all ache at this point. "You got any chips left then, Franny?" "'Fraid not." I was the poster girl for bad news. "Got some chewy, though." I gave him a stick of Wrigley's, and he settled back with a sigh, arms folded. "I mean, technically, she's not even that pretty. Vicky is prettier, and Shayla's got bigger tits, and you, well, your legs are insane, Franny." "Thanks for the validation." I was only being a little sarcastic. The rest of me was quite glad that my love of an opaque black tight and a very short skirt wasn't just me trying to work a 60s mod silhouette when my legs weren't up to it. I knew I wasn't sexy. I wasn't that pretty. My hair was more mouse than blonde. My eyes were blue, but not deep blue like Alice's, just blue. And I usually had a couple of spots, and I worried that maybe my lips were too thin. But I had long, skinny legs, and because I did work a 60s mod silhouette, I had a rep for being cool. In Merrycliffe, it didn't take a lot to get a rep for being cool. Anyway, that all added up to me being attractive on a good day. But not so attractive that boys wanted to get with me on a regular basis, or, like, ever. "Alice is such a bitch," Chris huffed. "I don't know why I bothered." "But you did bother, and you agreed to her rules, so don't start hating on her just 'cause you lost. No one likes a hater." "I'm not being a hater." He was, but I couldn't be asked to argue about it. "I'm just saying no wonder there's that graffiti in the bogs." "This isn't some new graffiti?" I asked sharply. "No, it's the same old graffiti." I slumped in relief, because I was worried that some boy Alice had cruelly rejected might have got nasty and written something rude, possibly involving blowjobs, but it was just the old graffiti. "Alice Jenkins is the worst girlfriend in the world." We didn't know who'd written it, because Alice tended to snog most boys for no longer than a week. We'd narrowed it down to Rajesh, because they'd gone out for about 3 whole weeks, or George, who said he'd gone out with Alice when he hadn't, though he had gone through a phase of leaving Alice bars of chocolate on her doorstep every morning until she'd told him to stop or she'd report him to the RSPCA because Poochie, her chihuahua, had eaten one and had explosive diarrhea for 3 days. Anyway, it wasn't like Alice had been offended. She'd persuaded someone to take a picture of the graffiti to use as the cover photo for her Facebook and Twitter profile, and she was particularly fond of quoting it like she was doing the voiceover for a big Hollywood movie. "Alice Jenkins is," she'd say in a deep, gravelly voice, "the worst girlfriend in the world." No, Alice could never be accused of false advertising, so there was no reason for Chris to look so mopey. There was also no reason for him to suddenly shift closer to me so that his leg was pressing